Welcome back to our second session of mock exam practice for the BACB Ethics Code, focusing on sections 3.1 to 3.4. In this video, we'll dive deeper into real-life scenarios to help you sharpen your understanding of these ethical guidelines. If you missed our first video, I recommend checking it out as we covered the same topics and it will help reinforce your knowledge. The link to the previous video will be available, so feel free to catch up. Let's get started and work through these practice questions together. Mock Exam 1. A behavior analyst is working with a child on reducing self-injurious behavior using a reinforcement-based intervention. After several weeks, the parents suggest trying a punishment-based method they heard about online, even though the current method is showing slow but steady improvement. The behavior analyst is concerned that using punishment could cause harm and reverse the client's progress. What should the behavior analyst do to ensure the client's well-being? 1. Implement the punishment-based method since it's the parent's preference. 2. Continue with the reinforcement-based method without addressing the parent's concerns. 3. Explain the risks of the punishment-based method to the parents and offer alternative reinforcement-based strategies. 4. Discontinue services because of the disagreement with the parent's preferences. The correct answer is 3. Explain the risks of the punishment-based method to the parents and offer alternative reinforcement-based strategies. Here's why. Implement the punishment-based method since it's the parent's preference. Not correct. The behavior analyst's primary responsibility is to ensure the client's well-being and avoid interventions that may cause harm. Even if it conflicts with the parent's preferences, continue with the reinforcement-based method without addressing the parent's concerns. Not ideal. While the reinforcement-based method is working, ignoring the parent's concerns can harm the collaborative relationship. Ethical practice includes engaging stakeholders in discussion and addressing their concerns. Explain the risks of the punishment-based method to the parents and offer alternative reinforcement-based strategies. This is correct. The behavior analyst should educate the parents about the potential harm of using punishment and propose alternative, safer, reinforcement-based strategies that can continue to address the behavior effectively. Discontinue services because of the disagreement with the parent's preferences. Not correct. Discontinuing services without first attempting to resolve the issue through discussion and education would not be in the best interest of the client or the parents. A better approach is to collaborate and educate the parents on best practices. Therefore, the best course of action is to explain the risks associated with punishment and propose a safer, effective alternative that aligns with ethical practice. Mock Exam 2. A behavior analyst is approached by a family to provide services for their child, who has a complex rare genetic disorder. The behavior analyst has no previous experience working with this specific disorder, but feels confident in their ability to provide general behavior analytic services. However, the family specifically requests interventions related to the disorder. What is the most appropriate course of action for the behavior analyst? 1. Accept the case but avoid addressing the child's specific disorder. 2. Accept the case and seek guidance from an expert in the disorder. 3. Decline the case and refer the family to a specialist in the child's disorder. 4. Accept the case and learn about the disorder as the treatment progresses. The correct answer is 2. Accept the case and seek guidance from an expert in the disorder. Here's why. Accept the case but avoid addressing the child's specific disorder. Not correct. Ignoring the disorder would not fully address the client's needs. Behavior analysts must ensure that their services are tailored to the specific requirements of the client. Accept the case and seek guidance from an expert in the disorder. This is correct. The behavior analyst can ethically accept the case if they seek supervision or consultation from someone with expertise in the specific disorder. This ensures that they are providing competent services while also learning from an expert. Decline the case and refer the family to a specialist in the child's disorder. This could be an appropriate option if the behavior analyst feels completely unprepared to handle the case, But seeking guidance allows the behavior analyst to stay involved while ensuring the child's needs are met. Accept the case and learn about the disorder as the treatment progresses. Not correct. It would be unethical to accept the case without sufficient knowledge or supervision. Behavior analysts should not work outside their scope of competence without seeking appropriate guidance. Therefore, the best action is to accept the case while seeking supervision or guidance from an expert who can provide the necessary support. Mock Exam 3. A behavior analyst fails to comply with mandated reporting laws after noticing signs of abuse in their client. Which ethical guideline is being violated? 1. 3.1 Responsibility to clients. 2. 3.2 Identifying stakeholders. 3. 3.3 Accepting clients. 4. 3.5 Financial agreements. The correct answer is 1. 3.1 Responsibility to clients. Here's why. 3.1 Responsibility to clients. This is the correct answer. Under this guideline, behavior analysts are required to act in the best interest of their clients, which includes complying with mandated reporting laws when there are signs of abuse. Failure to report suspected abuse violates this responsibility to protect the client from harm. 3.2 Identifying stakeholders. Not correct. This guideline is about identifying and involving all relevant parties, stakeholders in the treatment process, not about mandated reporting. 3.3 Accepting clients. Not correct. This guideline pertains to only accepting clients whose needs match the behavior analyst's competence and resources, and it does not relate to the issue of reporting abuse. 3.5 Financial agreements. Not correct. This guideline deals with agreements regarding payment and billing practices, which is unrelated to the scenario of mandated reporting laws. Therefore, the failure to report abuse is a violation of 3.1 Responsibility to clients, as the behavior analyst has an obligation to protect their client and follow legal reporting requirements. Mock Exam 4. A behavior analyst is working with a child in a clinic-based setting and has frequent communication with the parents. However, the child's schoolteacher requests regular updates about the child's progress to better support the behavior plan at school. The parents are hesitant to involve the teacher, preferring to keep the intervention solely clinic-based. Behavior analyst knows that school involvement could enhance the child's success across environments. How should the behavior analyst proceed in this situation? 1. Share the child's progress with the teacher without the parent's knowledge to support the school-based intervention. 2. Respect the parent's decision and continue without involving the teacher. 3. Discuss with the parents the benefits of involving the school and get their consent to share information with the teacher. 4. Ignore the teacher's request, focusing only on the clinic-based intervention. The correct answer is 3. Discuss with the parents the benefits of involving the school and get their consent to share information with the teacher. Here's why. Share the child's progress with the teacher without the parent's knowledge to support the school-based intervention. This is not correct. Sharing information without the parent's consent would be a violation of confidentiality and could damage trust between the behavior analyst and the family. Respect the parent's decision and continue without involving the teacher. This option is possible, but it is not ideal. While respecting the parent's decision is important, it's also part of the behavior analyst's responsibility to advocate for the client's success. Involving the school could enhance the child's progress across multiple environments, so this option doesn't fully address the situation. Discuss with the parents the benefits of involving the school and get their consent to share information with the teacher. This is the best answer. It respects the parent's decision while also educating them on the potential benefits of involving the school. Behavior analysts can explain how collaboration across settings may help the child make better progress. And if the parents agree, consent can be obtained before sharing information with the teacher. Ignore the teacher's request, focusing only on the clinic-based intervention. This is not correct. Ignoring the teacher's request misses an opportunity to create a coordinated, effective treatment plan that spans different environments, which could help the child succeed. Therefore, the most ethical and effective course of action is 3. Discuss with the parents the benefits of involving the school and get their consent to share information with the teacher. Mock Exam 5. A behavior analyst notices that a client is being mistreated at home. They report this to the appropriate authorities to protect the client, even if it might upset the family. Which ethics code does this scenario represent? 1. 3.1 Responsibility to clients. 2. 3.2 Identifying stakeholders. 3. 3.3 Accepting clients. 4. 3.4 Service agreement. The correct answer is 3.1 Responsibility to clients. Here's why. 3.1 Responsibility to clients. This is correct. This scenario highlights the behavior analyst's duty to act in the best interest of the client, which includes protecting the client from harm and complying with laws regarding mandated reporting. In this case, reporting mistreatment, even if it may upset the family, ensures the client's safety, which is the behavior analyst's primary responsibility. 3.2 Identifying stakeholders. This is not correct. While stakeholders such as family members are involved in the client's care, this code refers to identifying and communicating with them about their roles, not about the behavior analyst's responsibility to protect the client from harm. 3.3 Accepting clients. This is not correct. This code pertains to the behavior analyst's scope of competence and the decision to accept clients whose needs align with their skills and resources. It does not apply to the obligation to report mistreatment. 3.4 Service agreement. This is not correct. Service agreements are about documenting the responsibilities and expectations for services between the client and the behavior analyst, but it does not relate to reporting client mistreatment. Therefore, the correct answer is 3.1 Responsibility to clients, as the behavior analyst is acting in the client's best interest by reporting the mistreatment. Mock Exam 6. A behavior analyst receives a referral to work with a teenager with autism and co-occurring mental health issues, including severe anxiety and depression. While the behavior analyst has significant experience working with clients with autism, they have limited knowledge and experience in addressing mental health conditions. What is the most ethical course of action for the behavior analyst? 1. Accept the client and start treatment for both autism and mental health issues immediately. 2. Decline the case since the behavior analyst is not experienced with mental health concerns. 3. Accept the case but consult with a mental health professional to provide guidance on addressing the mental health aspects. 4. Work on the autism-related behaviors and ignore the mental health issues, since that's outside the analyst's expertise. The correct answer is accept the case, but consult with a mental health professional to provide guidance on addressing the mental health aspects. Here's why. Accept the client and start treatment for both autism and mental health issues immediately. This is not correct. While the behavior analyst may have experience with autism, treating mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression requires specialized knowledge. It would be unethical to provide services outside the scope of the behavior analyst's competence without consulting an expert. Decline the case since the behavior analyst is not experienced with mental health concerns. This is not the best option. While it is important to recognize limits in competence, simply declining the case could prevent the client from receiving comprehensive care. A better solution is to accept the case with the appropriate support from a mental health professional. Accept the case but consult with a mental health professional to provide guidance on addressing the mental health aspects. This is the most ethical choice. Behavior analysts should collaborate with a professional who has expertise in mental health to ensure that both the autism and mental health issues are addressed appropriately, staying within their scope of practice and seeking guidance where necessary. Work on the autism-related behaviors and ignore the mental health issues, since that's outside the analyst's expertise. This is not correct. Ignoring the mental health aspects could result in inadequate care, as these conditions likely influence the client's overall well-being. Ethical practice requires ensuring the client's comprehensive needs are addressed. Therefore, the correct answer is accept the case, but consult with a mental health professional to provide guidance on addressing the mental health aspects, as it ensures the client receives proper care within the behavior analyst's scope of competence while addressing the recurring mental health issues. Mock Exam 7. A behavior analyst is providing services for a child in a school setting and regularly communicates with the teacher. However, the child's mother is divorced from the father and has not informed the father about the services. The father later finds out and is upset that he was not involved in the decision-making process. What should the behavior analyst do to address this issue ethically? 1. Apologize to the father and immediately involve him in future decisions about the child's treatment. 2. Continue working with the mother and teacher without involving the father. 3. Inform the father that only the mother has a say in the child's treatment plan. 4. Discontinue services until both parents can agree on how to proceed. The correct answer is apologize to the father and immediately involve him in future decisions about the child's treatment. Here's why. Apologize to the father and immediately involve him in future decisions about the child's treatment. This is the most ethical course of action. If both parents have legal custody, it is essential that both are involved in the decision-making process regarding the child's treatment. Apologizing and ensuring both parents are included moving forward demonstrates respect for the family dynamic and complies with ethical standards regarding stakeholder involvement. Continue working with the mother and teacher without involving the father. This is not correct. If both parents share legal custody, ignoring one parent's concerns and continuing without their input would violate the ethical requirement to involve all relevant stakeholders in the decision-making process. Inform the father that only the mother has a say in the child's treatment plan. This is not appropriate unless the mother has sole legal custody. If the parents share custody, both have a right to be involved in the child's care. Misleading the father would also go against ethical principles of honesty and transparency. Discontinue services until both parents can agree on how to proceed. This is not the best option. While resolving disagreements between parents is important, discontinuing services could delay necessary interventions for the child. A better approach would be to involve both parents and facilitate discussions to find a consensus. Therefore, the correct answer is apologize to the father and immediately involve him in future decisions about the child's treatment to ensure ethical collaboration and involvement of all relevant stakeholders. Mock Exam 8. A behavior analyst is working with a child diagnosed with autism. The child's parents express interest in using a treatment they saw online that lacks scientific evidence. Behavior analyst is concerned that the treatment could harm the child, but is also worried about upsetting the parents by declining their request. How should the behavior analyst address this situation while adhering to the ethics code? 1. Implement the treatment as the parents requested to avoid conflict. 2. Ignore the parents' request and continue with the current behavior plan. 3. Explain the risks associated with the treatment and recommend evidence-based alternatives. 4. Discontinue services since there's a disagreement with the parents. The correct answer is explain the risks associated with the treatment and recommend evidence-based alternatives. Here's why. Implement the treatment as the parents requested to avoid conflict. This is not correct. Behavior analysts are ethically required to prioritize evidence-based treatments. Implementing a treatment that lacks scientific evidence just to avoid conflict could potentially harm the child and violate the ethical standards of providing effective and safe treatment. Ignore the parent's request and continue with the current behavior plan. This is also not correct. Ignoring the parent's concerns entirely is not a collaborative approach. Behavior analysts should engage with stakeholders and address their concerns in a respectful and transparent manner. Even when there is disagreement, explain the risks associated with the treatment and recommend evidence-based alternatives. This is the correct option. According to the BACB Ethics Code, behavior analysts must provide treatments that are scientifically supported. In this situation, the behavior analyst should educate the parents on the potential risks of using a treatment that lacks evidence and recommend safer, evidence-based alternatives to ensure the child's well-being, while maintaining a collaborative relationship with the parents. Discontinue services since there's a disagreement with the parents. This is not the best course of action. Discontinuing services should only occur under more serious circumstances, such as when harm is imminent or if a resolution cannot be reached after thorough communication. The best approach here is to address the parents' concerns and guide them towards safer, scientifically supported interventions. Therefore, the correct answer is explain the risks associated with the treatment and recommend evidence-based alternatives to ensure the child's safety, while maintaining a respectful and professional relationship with the parents. Mock Exam 9. A behavior analyst is asked to work with a child who has complex behavioral needs. While the behavior analyst has worked with similar cases, this child's needs are more severe, and the analyst is unsure if they have the necessary skills to effectively address the case. How should the behavior analyst proceed to follow the ethical guidelines? 1. Accept the case and figure out the necessary skills as they work with the child. 2. Decline the case immediately without considering other options. 3. Accept the case and consult with a more experienced colleague for guidance. 4. Refer the case to another behavior analyst without informing the client's family. The correct answer is accept the case and consult with a more experienced colleague for guidance. Here's why. Accept the case and figure out the necessary skills as they work with the child. This is not correct. Behavior analysts must operate within their scope of competence. Taking on a case without having the necessary skills or seeking guidance can result in ineffective treatment and potential harm to the client, which violates ethical standards. Decline the case immediately without considering other options. This is not the best approach. While declining the case might seem cautious, it overlooks the possibility of improving competency through supervision or collaboration. Ethical guidelines encourage seeking appropriate consultation before deciding to refuse a case. Accept the case and consult with a more experienced colleague for guidance. This is the correct answer. Behavior analysts can accept cases that challenge their skill set, provided they consult with a more experienced colleague who can offer guidance and supervision. This ensures the analyst is working within their competence while providing the client with effective treatment. Adhering to the ethical guidelines around competence. Refer the case to another behavior analyst without informing the client's family. This is not correct. Referring the case is an option, but it must be done transparently and in consultation with the client's family. Failing to inform the family would violate the ethical obligation to communicate clearly and involve stakeholders in important decisions. Therefore, the correct answer is accept the case and consult with a more experienced colleague for guidance, which allows the behavior analyst to provide effective treatment while ensuring they remain within the scope of their competence. Mock Exam 10. A behavior analyst notices that one of their clients, an adult in a group home, has been showing signs of neglect by the staff. The client appears malnourished and has unexplained injuries. Behavior analyst is hesitant to report this to authorities because the group home might lose funding. What is the best course of action for the behavior analyst? 1. Report the suspected neglect to the authorities to protect the client's welfare. 2. Ignore the signs and continue with treatment to avoid causing disruption. 3. Talk to the group home staff to resolve the issue internally without external reporting. 4. Wait until more evidence of neglect surfaces before reporting the issue. The correct answer is report the suspected neglect to the authorities to protect the client's welfare. Here's why. Report the suspected neglect to the authorities to protect the client's welfare. This is the correct course of action. According to the ethical code, behavior analysts must prioritize the welfare of their clients. If neglect or abuse is suspected, it is mandatory to report the issue to the appropriate authorities to ensure the client's safety. Protecting the client from harm takes precedence over any concerns about the group home's funding. Ignore the signs and continue with treatment to avoid causing disruption. This is not correct. Ignoring the signs of neglect is unethical and harmful. Behavior analysts have a duty to protect their clients and ensure they are safe from abuse or harm. Failing to act on signs of neglect would violate the client's rights and could lead to further harm. Talk to the group home staff to resolve the issue internally without external reporting. This option is not sufficient. While discussing concerns with the group home staff may be part of addressing the issue, neglect or abuse must still be reported to the appropriate authorities. Attempting to resolve it internally without proper reporting would fail to protect the client and could enable further harm. Wait until more evidence of neglect surfaces before reporting the issue. This is not correct. Behavior analysts are obligated to report suspected abuse or neglect as soon as it is identified. Waiting for more evidence could delay necessary action to protect the client and allow the neglect to continue. Therefore, the best course of action is to report the suspected neglect to the authorities to protect the client's welfare, as behavior analysts must act in the best interest of their clients and comply with mandatory reporting requirements to ensure safety. Mock Exam 11. A behavior analyst is hired to work with a teenager in a residential care facility. The facility staff wants the behavior analyst to only share progress updates with them, excluding the parents from the treatment decisions. The behavior analyst is aware that the parents are still the legal guardians and must be involved. What should the behavior analyst do? 1. Follow the facility's request to avoid conflict. 2. Keep the parents informed and involve them in all treatment decisions. 3. Continue working without informing the parents as long as the facility is satisfied. 4. Discontinue services due to the disagreement between the facility and the parents. The correct answer is keep the parents informed and involve them in all treatment decisions. Here's why. Follow the facility's request to avoid conflict. This is not correct. Behavior analysts have an ethical obligation to involve all legal guardians in the treatment process. Excluding the parents, who are the legal guardians, would violate their rights and the ethical guidelines that prioritize the involvement of relevant stakeholders in decision-making. Keep the parents informed and involve them in all treatment decisions. This is the correct course of action. Since the parents are still the legal guardians, they have the right to be fully informed and involved in all decisions regarding their child's treatment. The behavior analyst must comply with ethical standards, which include ensuring that stakeholders are appropriately informed and involved in the treatment process. Continue working without informing the parents as long as the facility is satisfied. This is not correct. Satisfying the facility's requests at the expense of excluding the legal guardians would be unethical. Behavior analysts must prioritize the rights of the legal guardians and ensure that they are involved in all decisions regarding their child's care. Discontinue services due to the disagreement between the facility and the parents. This is not correct. Discontinuing services may not be necessary unless there is no way to resolve the conflict ethically. The appropriate course of action is to involve the legal guardians, comply with ethical obligations, and work to resolve the situation in the best interest of the client. Therefore, the best course of action is to keep the parents informed and involve them in all treatment decisions, as the behavior analyst must act in the best interest of the client and comply with ethical guidelines involving stakeholders and legal guardians in the treatment process. Mock Exam 12. A behavior analyst is approached to work with a client who exhibits severe behavioral issues, including physical aggression. While the behavior analyst has experience with clients showing mild aggression, they have never worked with someone with such severe aggression. How should the behavior analyst handle the situation? 1. Accept the case but immediately seek supervision from a colleague experienced in severe aggression. 2. Accept the case and rely on their existing knowledge to manage the client's behaviors. 3. Decline the case and refer the client to someone more experienced with aggression. 4. Accept the case but avoid addressing the more severe aggressive behaviors. The correct answer is accept the case, but immediately seek supervision from a colleague experienced in severe aggression. Here's why. Accept the case but immediately seek supervision from a colleague experienced in severe aggression. This is the correct answer. Behavior analysts can accept the case, as long as they seek guidance from someone with more experience in handling severe aggression. This ensures that the client's needs are met ethically, and the behavior analyst remains within their scope of competence, while receiving the necessary support to address the severity of the case, accept the case and rely on their existing knowledge to manage the client's behaviors. This is not correct. While the behavior analyst has experience with mild aggression, severe aggression requires specialized knowledge and skills. Relying solely on their existing knowledge without seeking additional supervision could lead to ineffective treatment and potential harm to the client. Decline the case and refer the client to someone more experienced with aggression. This is a valid option, but not the best one. Referring the client to someone more experienced may be a solution, but since the behavior analyst can potentially handle the case with appropriate supervision, declining the case outright may not be necessary. Accept the case but avoid addressing the more severe aggressive behaviors. This is not correct. Avoiding the most severe behaviors would not be ethical or effective. The behavior analyst must address all of the client's needs, and avoiding certain behaviors would fail to provide adequate treatment. Therefore, the best option is to accept the case, but immediately seek supervision from a colleague experienced in severe aggression, ensuring the behavior analyst works ethically and within their scope of competence, while addressing the client's severe behavioral issues effectively. Mock Exam 13. A behavior analyst is working with a child whose family wants them to implement an intervention that involves physical restraint to manage aggressive behaviors. The behavior analyst believes this could harm the child, but the family insists on using this method because they saw positive results in another child. What is the most ethical action the behavior analyst should take? 1. Implement the physical restraint as requested by the family to avoid conflict. 2. Explain the risks of physical restraint and suggest alternative interventions that are safer. 3. Ignore the family's request and continue with the current plan. 4. Discontinue services if the family insists on the physical restraint method. The correct answer is explain the risks of physical restraint and suggest alternative interventions that are safer. Here's why. Implement the physical restraint as requested by the family to avoid conflict. This is not correct. A behavior analyst must prioritize the client's well-being and safety over the family's preferences. If an intervention poses a risk of harm, the behavior analyst should not implement it, even if the family requests it. Avoiding conflict is not an ethical justification for using harmful methods. Explain the risks of physical restraint and suggest alternative interventions that are safer. This is the correct answer. The behavior analyst should educate the family about the potential risks associated with physical restraint and provide evidence-based, safer alternatives that still address the child's aggressive behaviors. This approach balances the family's concerns while ensuring the child's safety and well-being. Ignore the family's request and continue with the current plan. This is not correct. Ignoring the family's request without any discussion could damage the relationship between the behavior analyst and the family. Open communication is essential in addressing concerns, and the behavior analyst should respectfully explain why physical restraint is not appropriate, rather than dismissing the request outright. Discontinue services if the family insists on the physical restraint method. This is a possible option if the family refuses to accept alternative methods and continues to demand an intervention that could harm the child. However, it should be the last resort after thoroughly explaining the risks and offering alternatives. The goal should be to collaborate with the family first. Therefore, the best option is to explain the risks of physical restraint and suggest alternative interventions that are safer, as this ensures that the behavior analyst is acting in the best interest of the child, while maintaining open communication with the family. Thanks for joining today's session on practicing mock exams for ethics. Code 3.1 to 3.4. I hope this helped you better understand how to apply these ethical guidelines in real-world scenarios. In our next video, we'll continue practicing with mock exams covering ethics codes 3.5 to 3.8. So be sure to stay tuned. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to press like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. See you next time.